Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nashville Tour Stop Podcast, broadcast live from my living room this time, across the, I used to say table, and then for a while we were recording at the 8th room. We'll be back there, but this week, across my living room from me, I would say longtime friend, first-time caller, but technically you did my other podcast, Selective Listening, with me. Welcome to the show, ANNALISA ROSE.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to my humble abode.
I always forget that there's like no cameras, so I'm like using my hands.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
I love podcasts, but I don't want to have to do any of the video editing, so maybe someday.
That's too much work.
It's too much work.
Yeah, they don't need to see us.
Yeah, thank you for doing the editing, Will. You make my life easier.
Yes, appreciate you.
Hold on, you already did yours, but I forgot, so here's my beer.
Yeah. Cheers.
Great. Cheers.
Air cheers.
Oh, how the heck are you, ANNALISA?
You know, I'm exhausted.
Why are you exhausted? What's going on?
It's been a busy time. Been rehearsing a lot, writing a lot.
You just came from a write?
Just came from a write out there in the Hermitage.
Oof.
It's a long trek.
That's a long ways away. I was
20-minute drive is
I was talking to somebody yesterday, but it made me post on my Facebook about how like you can live wherever you can live. Yeah, scoot yourself. Make yourself comfy.
I want to look right at you.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like
there.
I feel like we're at a we're in a therapy session.
Right, totally. Put your head
How
back.
does that make you feel? But I was talking about people who live really far away, love to say, oh, it's really not that far. Like, I live in Goodlettsville, but like, it's only like a 15-minute drive, no traffic. And then you like type the address into Google Maps and it says 35.
I know.
I'm not driving anywhere.
It's so weird because where I'm from, you know, a 6-hour drive is no big deal. It's just what you do. And like, I go to church in Franklin and every Sunday I'm like, man, it's 30 minutes. There's
never not traffic in this town.
Yeah.
You have to prepare, like, hey, we're going to meet at 7, and you say, okay, well, I'll leave my house at 5:45.
Right.
I'll call my grandma and catch up because I'll have 45
time.
minutes free.
Totally.
Yeah, it's just a hard time living in town. For those of you who don't live here, it could be better.
Could be better.
The infrastructure of the town's just not prepared.
Yeah.
But you're exhausted, but you're alive.
I'm good.
You're well. You've got your beanie on.
I've been...
you look remarkably comfy.
I really like this chair.
That's a nice life.
You should have... this is how you should have your podcast always.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think for all of my future tour stop shows, I should just have big leather chairs. Just like that's how the rounds will be.
The only thing... pass me one of them blankies over there.
Oh, yes. The blanket here. Are you cold?
I mean, I want to get comfortable.
There you go. Yeah, that's my drug rug blanket. That's been one of my go-tos for a long time. I got that in Cozumel.
Did you actually?
I actually did.
Nice.
I got that when I was like, I think I got it when I was like 21 or something, 2021. But what's going on?
I don't even want to know where it's been. Wow.
What's going on in your world other than all of the music stuff, which we'll get to, but we haven't gotten to just do this in a while.
I know. Well, I was wondering if we were just going to just do usual, like I think we're just gonna bullshit. Or are we gonna do like a would you rather segment or some bullshit?
Oh, we could do that. So what we're getting at here is I haven't prepared.
Well, no, it's not even that. I did. I should have come in with a lot of questions for you. I
don't prepare for any.
All
of
I
these.
did was bring you a pan.
I would so much rather just chit chat because I love listening to podcasts that are like structured and the ones that have like hard interview questions.
Yeah.
And I always try to ask a couple of pertinent questions, but for the most part, I just want to hear about what's going on.
Okay.
So let's see. You work over at the local.
Still working at the local. My feet are starting to grow into the floor, I think.
Right.
So
what's it like listening to music like that every night? Or do you work always in the evenings, or do you work the daytime?
I usually work always evenings, and I've gotten to see some really, really cool stuff. I've gotten to, over the last like 2.5 years that I've been there, I've seen the coolest songwriters, I've seen the coolest shit, and I've also seen some of the worst music imaginable. That's
one thing I love, that when I go over there to hang out with you specifically, I don't go there generally just to like, I'm going to sit and see what's going on, even though it's the closest bar to my house. I usually go to hang out with you,
right?
And I always text you first asking if you're working.
Yeah, I got to let you know what's going on.
But we've got that knowing glance when you hear a song and you're like, you take your ears out? And I say, what?
We speak telepathically.
And it's not just the local, like there's some of the top-notch talent in that bar, but there are some venues in town, and I guess it's really all of them at some point, where you see someone who's clearly like slipped through the whatever you want to call it, the gate.
Sometimes I wonder, like, did no one vet these people? Like, you gotta look at, creep on them before you book them or something.
Yeah. And I really don't like to dog on people, but we're all at different stages in our careers. And some people just, as my college guitar teacher used to say, just have the most room to grow.
Right. Well, and I support that. Just do it before you move here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not one to talk.
I think
I
played like 75 shows before I moved here, just doing like open mics and solo shows. And you really do get your stage legs just cutting your teeth.
Right.
Doing anything.
You should try to.
I mean, there are people who move here having never performed and never having like released music. And there's so much before success that people think is just going to happen. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, I moved to Nashville. I'll be famous next year.
There's a lot of legwork before that. Yeah. I don't know. We'll never know.
I mean, yeah, the chances of you and I both making it together.
I think we peaked in high school.
I mean, after this podcast, I don't know. We might both be famous.
It's true.
So
this could be the
one thing I noticed right before we started recording is I must make special note of the episode number. I am a child, and this is episode 69.
Hey!
And
I am so honored.
It's 420 somewhere.
Blaze.
Clink.
Yeah. I this is Annalisa Rose, and I am the honored guest of episode 69.
I should have planned something like some goofy games or something.
Oh, geez.
This is a testament to
how we are immature.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep pretty on top of my work for the most part, but there's some things that just slip by, and podcast episode numbers rarely are the things that I'm super focused on. Well,
I mean, it's only downhill from here.
Yes, it's only downhill from here, so I've got to get to episode 100. That's a mile mark.
That's going to be the only cool
everything between 100 and 420 won't matter.
Right. So I feel very, very special right now.
I'll make it to episode 100 this year, so I should probably start planning for that. Mm-hmm. So
plan that person accordingly.
Yeah. I think we did this when you did the other podcast, but for the people who might not have heard that, would you tell the story of how me and you met, if you remember?
Now that you just said that, I'm like panicking.
You're like, oh shit, I don't think I remember how
did we
met.
Initially meet?
I don't remember.
Is this bad?
I
don't know.
Are we bad friends?
I tell people this, I truly consider you like one of my better guy friends in this town. Like I love you, dude. And you're one of those friendships though that it's a little hazy. Like,
I bet we could go back in like the tour stop DMs
and find when I like
whoever DM'd the other first.
I feel like it was probably me.
It probably was.
Like, I had probably like
it's like, most
I want to play behind the
performer.
shower curtain. Yeah. Help me.
I mean, that's why I love my job though, is because I've made all of my best friends in Nashville through it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm friends with one person who I didn't make friends with at Tour Stop. John Hollier is one of my only buddies who I met before.
Like an original, yeah.
Yeah, he and I met at a writer's round in, I think it was fall of 2017. So it was like long before Tour Stop existed. And that was down at the 404 Bar and Grill near Nolensville. And he just played and I played. And then there was nobody in the bar. And we got a good laugh out of like, damn, okay, nobody's here.
Yeah.
You want to have a beer? He goes, yes.
That's
just a great equalizer.
It was probably alcohol. I don't know. I feel like somebody invited me onto Year Round at Belcourt.
Yeah, that would have been 2020 you moved. Oh, no, I do know exactly where we met. I remember.
Okay.
Tennessee Brew Works.
Oh, duh. We're idiots.
That's 100% how we met.
Are we drunk?
Yeah, well,
yeah, we will be. No, yeah, you were reading a book.
That is 100% how we met.
I'm so stupid.
See, we did it. We came through there.
Yeah, cut all of that out. cut all of that portion.
Yeah, so we met at Tennessee Brew Works. You were bartending there at the time because you had just moved to town, right?
Yeah, that was my first job in town.
Yeah, you moved here when in 2020?
March-ish of 2020.
Yikers.
And
great time to move.
Yeah. So
Did you move before the shutdown?
Nashville was shut down when I got here. And so I wasn't able to work right away. And then the brewery hired me.
So you started moving to town without a job?
I had been I was hired up front before I'd moved, but then the brewery shut down. So I was just waiting.
So your first 3 months in town were just I
sat in me and Melissa Ferret sat and just wrote songs and were hammered.
What else is there to do?
No, that was it.
So what did you do during those sweet 3 months of nothing?
I was living in a barn loft in near Leaper's Fork, and we were renting it from a hit songwriter that we reached out to, and he was kind enough to let us crash there. And then we didn't really have any other plans because we had no money. Yep. We had no money to get a place, so he just kind of let us.
We're broke,
be squatters in this barn for a while. And then we ended up renovating a farmhouse.
That's cool.
Yeah, just two girls living at Home Depot.
One of the only places that was open.
Yeah, because everyone was doing home projects and shit.
We're stuck at home.
Yeah.
And then you realize because you're there all the time, you're like, oh, I actually kind of I should fix all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That drain that's been slow running for 3 months, I guess I could fix that now. Right. What else do I have to do?
We learned how to do a lot of stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
I learned how to cook quite a bit better than I ever did before. Yeah. I was a frozen pizza, instant mac and cheese guy, and I kind of got better at cooking. But the thing that I did the most of, I had a series on Instagram called Waka Waka, where I would just go on long walks through town.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was from March through maybe August when shows started picking up again, because I was doing one show a week at Belcourt Taps through that summer. So I was really doing nothing the other 6 days of the week because it only took 10 minutes to ask 6 people to play.
Right.
But the other 6 days of the week, I would go for walks. And between whatever it was, March and sometime in August, September, I think I walked almost 700 miles. I was doing 25 miles a day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I lived over in East Nashville by Moss Tacos.
Yeah.
And I would walk from there over to Belcourt Taps in Midtown, which is several miles between East Nashville and, gosh.
That's kind of a tough route.
Yeah, it is. I've learned that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of walking on roads that don't have sidewalks.
Right. It's kind of an adventure. Take your chances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Little parkour.
I would do that. And then one day I walked from my apartment in East to Belcourt. Then I walked from Belcourt to the Grand Ole Opry.
Jeez.
And way, way deep east. And that was the day I think I did 28 miles or something.
Were you skinny as shit?
I had a backpack that I put one of those big freezer ice bags in. So it was an insulated backpack, and I would put water and food into it and just walk. And it takes a long time to walk a marathon.
Yeah.
I would get up at 9 and just start walking. Then I'd get home at 9 when it was dark.
I didn't know we shared this love. Cause I've done 2 very long distance, hiking trips in Europe.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Let's get into it. When was the first one?
I was 20, which it was the first time I'd ever been overseas. And so I was really stoked because I knew that I could drink.
Yes. Because the age over there is 18, right?
Yeah. Well, they don't even
No, they
care.
don't.
Yeah.
We're the only country that cares.
Right. But I was freshly 20 and it's just a child. And
a baby.
I went to France, Spain, and Portugal on that trip. And we did a pilgrimage. It's been around for thousands of years where you walk from Chartres, France to Paris.
That's cool. I've been to Chartres.
Yeah.
Actually, the background of my iPhone is a photo that I took in Chartres.
Oh, really? Well, yeah. I remember you saying that. But it was awesome. I walked through the countryside of France and in the pouring ass rain. I slept on the ground, just pouring
rain.
mud. It was awesome.
actually like backpacking it. That's cool.
And it was cool because like my literal first seeing Paris, I walked to it.
Nice.
And like I walked all the way right under the Eiffel Tower.
That's very cool.
To the end of the trip. But yeah, that was one. And then
Paris, underrated city.
I mean, totally I wouldn't go there again. They were like, because we were in like a group of literal like thousands of people in a big long line, and we had like American flags and state flags with us, and like
that's neat.
All the Parisians
sporting
were like
your Montanan flag.
Oh, you know I did.
Montanian. We did this on the last one. Montanite.
Right.
Montanian.
Sounds like a Mennonite or something. Pentecostal.
How long was that trip?
That one was 80 kilometers. So not crazy long, but we did it in 3 days. So that's kind of hauling ass.
That's still a lot of walking.
Yeah. And the other one was, I'm more proud of the other one. We did 200 kilometers on the Camino, which that took us quite a while more.
But
cool. I want to do like the whole thing. It's like 500 miles.
I didn't know that you were a big hiker, walker person.
Yeah.
Backpacker.
Oh, I wish I still was. There's just nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go here in Central Tennessee.
I don't want to walk on pavement all the time.
It's not great. And the way people drive in this town.
Oh, yeah, you'll die.
Danger.
There were 2 people that got hit recently right out here on West End.
Right on West End Avenue.
Yeah. One guy walked into the bar and was like, I just got hit.
Yep.
I was like, do you need an alcohol?
I wholeheartedly believe that my greatest fear as a human is being struck by a vehicle. It's not because I'm not going to be watching where I'm going.
It's because you're not going to hear it.
I'm either not going to hear it, or some car is going to be not watching where they're going, and I'm just going to get clocked. Because I think my favorite thing to say is, what do people in Nashville love more than drinking and country music? Running red lights, not using their turn signals,
turn signal for
going 150 miles an hour on the interstate. It is like Need for Speed and Grand Theft Auto and all of these other things just meshed up into one.
If people were just a tiny bit more like considerate, like let you merge, I think we could really change this place.
I hate having to argue through my windshield, like let me in, let me in, let me in. And people are just like, you're in the zip drive and you're getting to the end, and they just won't pull over.
I've started calling it, I'm in a Nashville this, where you just have to be aggressive. And
you have to be an aggressive driver to live
You have
here.
to be that guy. You have to be them.
Because there's aggressive drivers who are just doing it so you don't get in front of them.
Yeah.
For no other reason. It's like, are you in a hurry to get to work? Will you be happy when you're at work? Like, slow down and let me into the interstate, man.
My other thing lately is I'm like, well, I'm already late. I'm going to stop and get that iced coffee, you know?
It's like,
but I've started keeping like a thermos or like a real cup in my truck so that you just transfer so nobody knows that you actually stopped to get coffee.
They're not,
you know, you're like, they definitely.
Nobody's going to inspect.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty smart move.
Suspect.
Ooh, we should do life hacks with Annalisa and Aaron.
Yeah. What else do we not know?
I used to actually bring a flask to tour stop, except
it saves on money.
The flask was filled with iced tea, so that way when somebody would ask me to do a shot with them, I'd just be like, "Hey, I got mine."
Yeah,
and I would shoot iced tea because
that's smart.
It's hard being at these shows sometimes, and you're a bartender. Do you ever have people asking to buy you shots?
I mean, definitely. We're not supposed to, but depending on the night,
if there's ever a bar that has a bartender that's like, oh, I definitely don't drink, wink, 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 wink. Right. Yeah. I mean, we've all been subject to it before.
What?
Annalisa has never drank behind the bar.
I've never been drunk at my own establishment.
Never done that.
No, I don't really drink. We always circle back to this.
We do, yes. Yeah. So I'm just glad that you're here.
Me too.
I haven't gotten to just be with my friends in a long time.
Just want to do cool shows with my friends.
Every time I do the show, every time I do this show, my favorite part of my job is the podcast, because it's an excuse to sit and talk to people.
It's true.
So we also talked about it on this other episode, which you did last summer of 2022. You were I think you were the last episode I put out before I put it on hold and focused more on this one. But what is your like? What's your purpose for being in Nashville? What is it that lights the fire under your butt that makes you want to be here instead of home in Montana?
Man, in a nutshell, I have days where I come completely off the rails and I despair. I'm like, why am I here? You know, you're not talented enough. You're not good enough. What's the point? And then I remember all of the people in my hometown who gave a shit. And like my dad and, you know, so many people that like, they do believe in me.
The naysayers.
Yeah. And like, you know, there's people and they've like, I just lost a very, very, very good friend on Friday and he believed in me the most. And so like, you know, I got to make him proud somehow.
You got to make them proud. Yeah. And there's some of those people you want to stick it to them.
Right. No, yeah. Less that, just because I'm trying not to care what they think, but you know, fuck them.
We live in an industry that's hard to ignore the opinions of other people.
Yeah.
I mean, for those of you listening who are hearing me and Annalisa talk about how there are some, shall we say, developing songwriters.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
that's
we
us.
Are still some of the developing songwriters to the people who are stars.
Yeah.
Like there's a spectrum and all of us fit into it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, let's be honest. There's people who have made it who are terrible.
Right.
And people who will never make it that are the best people in the world.
I still like, I don't know. I still love the fact that I get to wake up and I get to go to a write with somebody that I've never written with. And, you know, yeah, it's a first date. Mm-hmm. You don't know how it's going to go, but what other place in the world do you sit down with a stranger and like heart to heart?
Oh yeah, just
I mean that will never get old.
Bare your soul.
Yeah, that's never going to get old. So
that's great, and I think that's one of the reasons you and I started getting along well early on was because we had a mutual understanding of some of the people like that we grew up with that really, not that they didn't support it, but maybe they didn't understand what was inside of us that made us want to do this. Because I feel like a lot of us songwriters and creative types in general, it's not an option to do something else.
There's no,
it's a compulsion.
Right.
I want to write songs. I want to play shows. I mean, you're in my living room right now. I have 3 guitars and a ukulele on display. And that's only because I only have 4 hooks to hang. I've got 6 more guitars in the bedroom.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a compulsion.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a collection at this point. But
I mean, at some point you have to either like accept it, take it about yourself or do something else.
Yeah. And I have had to be the person that has told people not to quit their day job.
Yeah.
And that's kind of hard sometimes seeing the starry-eyed young kid who's ready to go. And I always try to say, like, don't quit your day job right now. Mm-hmm. Because health insurance is pretty sweet. Like, paying your rent on time, really underrated.
Yeah.
It's pretty great having reliable stuff. But if you get to a point in your life where you can try, why not?
Right.
Why not? Like, when I moved to Nashville, I was broke. I had less than $1,000 to my name.
Yeah.
Savings, checking, everything was like, I think I had like $700. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't have missed one paycheck because then I wouldn't have had enough money to pay rent. Like, I was so piss poor. And it was kind of that, like, gosh, what's the right word for it, where I had no other option but to succeed.
I mean, if perseverance, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I didn't have another option.
Do or die. There's no, yeah.
Yeah.
If you care about it enough, you can always go home, but.
And I was talking about that not too long ago with, I believe it was John Hollier, about how when there's just something you care so deeply about, you'll do anything to make it work. Mm-hmm. I was working at a cupcake bakery and I had to go to work at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
I love that about you. When you told me that for the first time, I was like, that's the kind of, when we're like 50 talking about these days, you're going to be like,
what did you do
I worked
to make
in a bakery because I gave a shit.
Yep.
You know, I worked a terrible job waking up in the ass crack of dawn
Yes.
just to make this
actual
work.
ass crack
Yeah.
of dawn.
Well, you know, for lack of better words, like you are a fucking inspiration because Tour Stop is a growing thing, and it started with how many dollars in the bank, and like now you're growing and growing.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a huge thing.
I hope.
Hey, no, don't hope. It's going to fucking happen.
It's funny looking back at it, and it makes me really appreciate how, because I still feel like I haven't really accomplished anything, but if I look at 5 years ago when I started it, I really have come quite a long ways.
You haven't accomplished anything, bud. Look at all of the friends that you have created. Like, for all of us. Like, you brought us all together.
This neon sign
You're
right behind
a gatherer.
me, the Tour Stop neon sign, helped buy the tiny condo that I live in.
Right, totally. You're like a shepherd.
A shepherd?
Gathering us lost sheep.
Actually, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I need a dog. I need a sheepdog. Actually, that would be hilarious to get.
Just bring a dog to every Tour Stop show.
Yeah, I'll get a dog, and it can be the mascot of the show, and
honestly,
then that'll just be there at everything.
You know, like the little RCA dog or whatever that thing was. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's funny though because it's hard to do stuff like that. That you have to realize as songwriters, like there are people, using myself as an example, who are willing to go do that 4 a.m. shift to be available to play anything or do anything that evening. And it happened not too long ago where a songwriter asked to play. And what happened is I said, okay, well, sure, here's a date and a venue and a time that I have open. And this person said, well, I won't play if either of these two people are on the show. And since they're on that lineup, I'm not going to play. It's like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They said, well, tell me any other dates that I can play, though. And I said, well, I'm not going to be making accommodations
for that
just because you have stipulations for it.
Right.
And there's people who are really shooting themselves in the foot because they're getting picky. And at this stage in our careers, we can't be picky.
No.
We have to be willing to do those rights that are far away and with new people. And eventually you'll get to do the rights that are close to your house with the people you enjoy seeing. But yeah, this is us cutting our teeth.
Right.
And this is the part of the documentary that people do want to watch. All documentaries are all story, and they end at the stadium. The credits roll with the band playing in the stadium.
Nobody talks about the middle part.
Yeah. People want to see what we're doing now. They want to know, they basically want a playbook for how do I get to be successful? What are these other bands? What are these other artists? What are the other songwriters doing that got them there? And it's cool getting to see kind of like the pitfalls of other people's careers and be like, oh, shoot, well, I shouldn't do that. And now I know not to do that, and I'll try this. And then maybe 30 years from now, someone's going to look and be like, oh, Annalisa Rose did that. That worked. I'm going to try that.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what are some of the things you would recommend for people? Because you've been here for a few years. You're still relatively new, but you've got some expertise.
Do I, though?
I would say so.
I don't know. I think it's still a learning experience all the time. But yeah, like I'm still cutting my teeth on plenty of stuff. I think the more you do stuff, the more confident you get. Like I feel myself getting more confident in certain areas, but what would I tell somebody to do?
Sure. I think something that I would tell people is like learning the power of no.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've had to practice because people ask Tour Stop for shows all the time, but they say, oh, well, we don't have a sound system and we can't pay you anything and we won't serve your sponsors, but like, you'll still do the show, right?
Yeah.
I said, no.
Yeah. Because
you just asked me to do my business for free. So learning the power of no is, I think, a good thing that you can learn as a young person. In
power of no, utilizing your time wisely. Like, I don't know. Don't spread yourself too thin trying to do too much. Like do things thoughtfully,
meaningfully, and don't go to bars 7 nights a week.
Right.
Because you'll run out of money.
Right.
You'll be hungover every morning.
Right.
And then you're not going to have any room for creative energy because you spent it all at the bar last night.
Right. Like, I think it's cool too, like, especially when it's almost more meaningful when I see certain writers that don't come around as often because, you look forward to those things. I don't know.
You don't want to oversaturate yourself.
Oversaturate is a good word.
I think you don't want to undersaturate yourself because people will forget who you are.
Totally.
And I feel bad saying that, but people will DM me on Instagram and I haven't seen or heard from them in years. And then that Taylor Swift song, I forgot that you existed, comes into my head. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Did you post about that the other day?
I did.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry that I haven't asked you to play. I literally forgot that you existed. Because there's so many thousands of people here and you see them once a month. You don't realize that you haven't seen some of your best friends in
a while.
A month.
Yeah.
Like I hung out with Brandon Ellis earlier today and he and I were talking about like, when was the last time we saw each other? It's like, oh, it was like a couple days. Oh, shoot. It was like 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. And there's people who you'll go months without seeing and you don't realize it.
Yeah.
Being an adult sucks.
Being an adult sucks.
It's expensive.
I was not prepared for all of this.
Like, damn, okay, well, I got a flat tire. I can afford $150 for a new tire. And it's like, oh, damn, well, now I have to get a root canal and there's $2,000.
You did just do that, right?
Piling on and piling on.
Speaking of tires, yeah, I literally just had to go down to the gas station this morning, throw like $10 worth of quarters in the machine because an air compressor would have paid for itself by now, literally.
I swear.
But I ain't ready to buy tires right now.
I will go to a gas station chain called Quick Trip.
Yeah.
Because they have free
air.
Free air.
Everywhere in Montana has free air.
And it's same in Missouri.
I don't understand. And it pisses me off.
Yeah.
It pisses my husband off. He's like, this country, air should be free.
Yeah, it sucks having to go pay to get air in your tires.
Yeah.
Like, you can buy the air compressors from Walmart and stuff and do it yourself, but I don't want to have an air compressor in my house.
When we buy you a mansion with a shop.
Yes. I'll have a shop. I'll have a garage.
I'll come over.
Yes. Would you like another bevy?
Yeah.
Well, here, while we get a refresher here, we'll take a quick commercial break and come right back with the Nashville Tour Stop Podcast. And we're back with the Nashville Tour Stop Podcast. We've got a fresh brewski here. Cheers, Annalisa. Normally we clank them, but we're a little bit farther away than I'm used to. But this is considerably more comfortable than the padded studio.
This really is, yeah.
Maybe someday I can buy a big mansion, like you just mentioned, and this can be the studio.
This whole house.
This whole 600 square foot place can be the podcast studio. That actually would be a nice idea. I had never thought of that. I would have to not live here for that to be the thing, though. I've already got too much shit. My living room is very crowded right now.
We're going to remember that one day when the documentary part 2 comes out. Yeah. You're like, yeah, Aaron used to have a 600 square foot apartment.
Tiny.
Look at him now.
I can't wait to have an address that doesn't end with APT number.
Yeah.
I would love to not have an apartment number in my address.
You're going to live on like some country ass road, like old Granny Smith Lane or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to have a nice big, like, I call them adult houses, like a grown up house.
Right.
I want to have a grown up house. But right now, if I had a bigger house, I would be just slightly less crowded because I don't have that much stuff.
You don't. You look like a travel light kind of guy.
I can pack.
You're so self-conscious. There's like 6 boxes in here, but I bet it's just like they're just Amazon
I really don't. I don't have
boxes.
that much garbage. But the the little place that I've got here is perfect for now, and it's mainly the reason I chose this place over getting another like an actual grown up house is because I didn't want to have to live in bumfuck Nowhereville.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be able to like go in and out of town pretty readily, and even though I do live far away, it's pretty nice not having to drive 35 minutes into town every time.
Yeah,
like
I don't blame
Franklin
you
and Brentwood and all of these areas are great, but they're far.
It's true. You are in a good spot here.
I don't entertain here very often, but
that's why you're invited to my house next week.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. The annual, or I guess this is the second annual. The second annual Christmas tree burning.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a big party outside.
We did it last year, obviously, for the first time, and like it was just so much fun. And this year's considerably larger. I've invited too many people. We'll see if everyone shows, but
turned into a rager.
Yeah, I don't know. My neighbors are pretty cool, so I think they'll won't mind the noise.
Nice.
But
yeah, did you get a keg?
I'm considering it.
I mean,
I'm considering it. I'm also not considering it because
you know everyone would it would be empty at the end.
I think I'm just gonna take people's keys this year.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Like this people that I should take their keys, aka all my friends.
I went to one party it might have been 2 years ago for Halloween. A friend of mine got a full keg, like a big keg of Yingling.
Yeah, not
realizing that each keg in it has like 200-something beers in it. Depending on
if it's a full size keg.
It was there's about full size. What are they, like 18-inch kegs, and like what are they, 3 feet tall?
Yeah,
big ass keg of Yingling.
We'll get a Sixtel, a little pony keg, and there's only about there's probably only like 50-60 beers in there.
You don't realize.
The problem is they never pour good. If you get a hand pump.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, we all know.
Yep,
we all know.
Yes, we all know.
Someday when I'm big, I will have a kegerator made out of an old little shitty mini fridge.
That's the only problem with hand pumps is so much of it comes out is just foam.
Right,
just foam, but
we still do it.
We still do it. We'll do keg stands and chug foam.
I don't know. One day I'll be above that, but right now, I'm
still willing to do it.
Continuing to do that.
I haven't done a keg stand in a couple of years, but I've been there.
We used to do it big time when I was still skiing in Colorado.
I think that was one of the things that started telling my age a little bit. Was last time I did a keg stand, I got really bad heartburn.
You're like, what is this? What is this pain? It's acid reflux, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, you don't realize how hard it is to just drink with it pouring into your mouth like that.
This beer is excellent.
It is.
I forget how good this is.
You got the extra easy, correct?
Yeah.
This is the Tennessee Brewworks Extra Easy English Ale. This is one of the ones that
this brought us together, basically.
Really?
I mean, all this beer.
So yeah, we got mad distracted. That's how we met. Was at Tennessee Brewworks.
Yep.
I remember how it happened though.
Why did we forget that? That is so we're
I think
dumb.
we're both ADHD.
I think we're
or we're just like goldfish.
We're losing brain cells.
Sorry to the people who are listening to this and they're like, they have changed topic like 40 times. But I was sitting outside on the patio reading To Kill a Mockingbird, and you asked me about it.
I had seen you several times just chilling on the patio, reading your book, drinking your beer, and at one point I was like, there's something to this guy, because
he's always here,
and he is so content, and he is just reading a book, and I'm like, I appreciate a guy that's reading, first off, at all, and secondly, an American classic. And
now we're friends.
I feel like I interrupted you, and I was like, listen, man, what is your deal?
I feel like the interruption was welcomed.
And then I think we just sat there and talked, and then I got off work and we just drank more.
Yeah, I was like, do you want to have a beer? And
yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, it's
like
the great
right
equalizer.
Thing to do. It was a soul connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
could have been the beer.
It's hard making meaningful friendships in town. I was looking at my like Instagram followers earlier because I was trying to filter out some of the people I don't know and like just spam accounts and whatever.
Yeah.
And I started going through and was like, God, I know a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them are just, I mean, the thousands of them are just people who I've met a few times. I see them at like shows and parties and everything every now and then. But then you start thinking, okay, who are my like quality friends?
Yeah.
And I started saying like, well, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies, or 10 dimes than 100 pennies, because you start having good friendships.
It's I mean, that's my favorite feeling in the world, to be honest. Like the almost gratitude that you feel when you can look at your life and you've got so many friends, not just like real quality friendships for sure, but also just people that you look through your followers or whatever and you're like, I know these people.
Yep.
For some reason or other. And like, you know, I love that feeling.
It makes you wonder, like, why do we become friends with certain people and not others?
Mm-hmm.
And I've always thought it was easier to be friends with people who just wanted to sit and talk. Because some people have to go out and do things. They need to be actively involved in some kind of a activity.
Yeah.
But I would so much rather sit and pick your brain and hear what you want to talk about. That's why songwriting and co-writing really came easily to me, was because, yeah, sure, I've never met you before. I'll open up.
Yeah.
Let's write a song about this weird experience I had with a girl on a date.
Right. Well, I like that too, like, especially with songwriting, like when you're in the room. And my favorite thing to do is I always try to be the devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I think that's one of my stronger suits, or I'm trying to make it into one, is like, I want to pick your brain. I want to make you think of every angle of why, you know, how can we tell this story to the like best details. I don't know. People don't ask enough questions. People just want to.
They want to talk.
Yeah.
They don't want to inquire.
I love friendships where the people allow you to.
That's why when I was hanging out with Brandon this morning, I sat and it felt like I was interrogating him, because I was just I haven't seen him in so long and he's had so much happen.
Yeah.
I wanted to know everything.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like I was just like probing him, asking questions, but I had so many things I wanted to know about.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of one of his stories, he goes, man, I got to stop talking about myself. Let me ask about you. And I was like, oh.
I know.
It's like, oh, this is how conversations go.
Thoughtful people.
Yeah. They want to engage like that. And that's one reason I try to not have just bar friendships or just bar relationships with people, is because, sure, it's great to run into somebody at the local and we talk and we have the 30-second conversation about how's the music, how's the family, how's the yada, yada, yada. And then they're gone. It's over.
Small talk.
It's transactional conversation, but it's so much more fun to do stuff like what we're doing right now, where you get to figure out like why you're here instead of just that you are here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about more about why you're here. And I didn't want it to be interviewee, but let's talk about songwriting a little bit. When did that come into the picture? When did you get into music?
I mean, very long story short, I started writing when I was 14-ish. And
was guitar the first instrument?
Guitar was my third instrument at that point. I never had really. I bought one when I was 14, and I just kind of taught myself to play. And yeah, like I loved literature. I loved English as a kid, and so I was always into creative writing, and I thought I wanted to be like in journalism or something like that. And then I don't know, music was always a love of my life, and so the two just paired together, and I figured out, oh, you know, I can do this. So,
do you remember the name of the first song you ever wrote?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
It's so.
I think I have it in a notebook somewhere, but
it's so funny thinking about that, because a lot of people like myself are really tied to that first song.
Really,
and some people, I guess, like you, it was just the first one, and then everything after kind of got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
that first song that I wrote was called The Day Before. And in my bedroom in the back, it's funny because my drummer from the band that I was in when I was 16 found the lyric sheet to that song.
That's
when
cool.
His family moved out of their house that he grew up in. I hadn't seen him in years, and he texted me long after I had moved to Nashville. He's like, "Hey, dude, I found something at the house down in the basement where we used to rehearse." He's like, "I found something. I think you want it. I just want you to be surprised. I'm going to mail it to you." And I was like, "Oh, cool." Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like a poster from one of our shows or an old CD. And he literally hard mailed like so it wouldn't get crinkled.
Yeah.
He sent me a hard package of the paper I like ripped out with the lyrics of my first song.
That's awesome.
For our first band practice.
Yeah.
Then I framed it and put it in my room.
Oh, that's really
It's
cool.
like it's a reminder of like where I started.
Yeah. Never despise meager beginnings. Like, that's badass.
Reading the lyrics, they're terrible.
Oh,
they're absolutely terrible.
Mine were terrible back then.
But it's funny listening to it now because it's on Spotify. That first song I ever wrote is released. And
it's out?
It's out. But
I won't go listen. I'm going to go listen to it.
Okay. For those of you who would like to listen to Aaron Schilb's first song, it's under a band called Lot 56. And that's what the album's called. The cover is my friend's Sharpie drawing of L56. And it's called The Day Before.
All right.
Laura Davis, if you're listening, I wrote it about you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the girl that I wrote it about, I had a crush on her in high school, and she's married now and everything. And that's the tale as old as time. I fall in love with a girl, and then she gets married. I am good luck, Chuck.
Hey, that's not the end of the road there for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I started writing so young that like all that stuff was just absolute garbage.
Was there like a reason, like a compulsion, or was it like you just had these feelings you didn't know how to convey?
It was a lot
otherwise?
of that. It was a lot of just teenage angst. A lot of, you know.
I would love to hear teenage angst Annalisa songs.
Man, I'll dig them out. I have them in boxes somewhere, but yeah, it wasn't about anything serious. The only song I remember that I think was probably more like my first song I was proud of was a song that I entered in a songwriter contest in Montana, and it didn't place whatsoever. And I was, I think I was 24, and I was really proud of it. I thought I was going to do well. And then the next year I went back and I won the whole thing.
That's cool.
And so, but it was like, you know, it was a good shot in the arm. It was like, yeah, this sucked. You thought this was good. And then, you know, I spent the whole next year trying to write better. And then I got to win the whole thing the year after.
It's proof that you're doing something that's more universally like applicable rather than just, this song's just for me.
Right. Well, and I didn't know anything about how to even write a good song from a listener's perspective, because I was definitely just writing like emotional girl shit.
Right.
But we had to do that, I guess.
We all have to write those songs to get to the place where you can start writing more objectively, if you will. Some of the best songwriting advice I got when I first moved to Nashville, I still apply it to my writing today, is show it, don't say it. And that means like don't say the shirt was blue or whatever, the sky was blue. Use a metaphorical descriptor to be like, the sky looked sad or something. So you can infer, and you're not telling somebody what they have to see, but then they can apply their feelings to whatever it was. So
word pictures.
Pictures. And
no, I love that.
It's so cool kind of hearing these little tidbits of songwriting advice from everybody over the years, because it really does make you a better writer. And it helps you not just focus only on yourself, because then you can apply your situation to maybe somebody else feels like this too, but how do I make it more, I don't want to say generalized, but how can I make it more applicable to what they might be feeling as well?
I guess it depends on, I've tried this new system Because so many times I feel like I've gone into writes where you get lost in the direction, like the task at hand. So like my new thing that I'm trying to do is just really be upfront.
You kind of get caught in the weeds.
Right. But like say, what is our trajectory? Are we writing for you today? Are we writing for me today? Are we writing for radio today? Are we, what? Instead of just getting lost in some truck song. I think
you're right. Having a destination that you need to arrive at is I would say it's a better practice for writing because it's really hard to go to a write and people are just like, well, let's just start with the first line, first verse. I'm like, why? I don't know where to go. There's 1,000 roads that this line could take us down. But if you have a hook of a song or a title of a song that you can land at, then you just focus on this one road that you can get to get to that place. And that helps inform my writing way more than anything else.
Speak to. I say that a lot. I guess everyone does. Like, you're trying to speak to the hook, right? Mm-hmm. Or shit gets so messy if you don't. I guess. It
does, and it's really easy to write a bad song.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to write a good song.
Yeah.
We've only heard thousands of bad songs since we've been in town. I've only written
just a couple.
Several hundred bad songs.
They're mostly mine. Yeah.
Oh, shut up. You're great. I wouldn't book you if I didn't believe you.
Stop it.
It's one of the great bonuses of my work, of my job, is that I get to see my friends progress.
Or not.
I get to see my friends literally grow as creatives.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun hearing them play that song that for the first time you see them play it and they see the audience receive it. And then they're like,
there it is.
I did that.
Yeah.
It's cool seeing that happen because it's so hard to connect with an audience. And as soon as you taste that one time,
you want it.
You will never get anything else that satisfies you quite the same. Mm-hmm. And I love seeing that happen for people.
I mean, also like you're our godfather. Like, we want to make you proud. I think that's cool too. Like we all have grown together. You grow. Mm-hmm. I watched you grow in the last couple of years. Like we're not at Belcourt.
I really try to stay humble about my work. I know that for a few of the places that I get to host shows, I'm kind of a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
But I really don't I don't want to let it get to my head. I always want to remember how I felt when I first moved here.
Yeah.
Which was lost and friendless and had nothing to offer. And nobody cared that Aaron was there. Mm-hmm. And I try to bring that mindset to my shows now. So if somebody does come that has nothing to offer and has nothing that I need, don't look at it, what can they give me? I look at it, what can I give to them?
Yeah.
And what I can give to them, even if it's not a show right away, it's my friendship. Because sometimes all you need is just one person to make you feel like, okay, just that guy was nice. I might meet another nice person here next time. Mm-hmm. It's cool getting to be that. I would so much rather that be my legacy than huge concert promoter Aaron.
Right. Absolutely. I had this girl the other day come up and just very intensely, almost over the top, was like, because we were talking about, potentially playing a show with Montana Mess, and she was just over the top. And I'm like thinking to myself, calm it down just a little bit. But then I'm like, man, I would have done the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like,
you have to learn to reel it in a little bit.
Yeah. And that's hard, How do you tell people that? You don't. You just let them.
My best advice for young people trying to get involved is don't ask for things. Offer something first.
Yeah.
And if all you have to offer is, can I carry that box to your car?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you don't even have that, it's like, I'll give you an hour of my time, come hang out and just support the thing that I think is cool.
Yeah.
And it's so fun.
It shows people's effort is our time is so valuable, and if someone gives you their time, then that means the world to me.
Don't ever believe your time's not valuable. Everyone's time is valuable.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, I love my job. I would so much rather be sitting right here, watching that TV, drinking this beer, talking to nobody else.
Yeah.
That's my second favorite thing to do.
Right.
Actually, my favorite thing to do is nothing, which is generally falling asleep and napping.
Also very important.
Pretty great. But it's so cool getting to be part of this greater thing that's happening in town. And if I get to be a conduit to help somebody get involved, that's cool. It's validating knowing that I have my place and I get to contribute to a bigger thing.
Yeah.
And then everyone else can find their place and contribute to the next thing.
Me and my co-bander, Melissa, we started writing a song. I mean, it's just a simple phrase, simple idea, but it's like, when creeks will rise, all paper boats will sail.
Wow.
And like, we're all just little paper boats, you know?
That's
and
cool.
Like,
who did you write that with?
Just me and Melissa. Yeah.
Cool.
It's not even done yet, but we started it. And I mean, it's true. I know when my friends do good, like I want to hopefully rise with them. I'm gonna be holding on to their ankles screaming, making but whatever. I want to see everybody do good.
What are some of the other songs that you've written that you're proud of right now?
Oh man, let me think about that.
You kind of do have to go through the catalog a little bit, don't you?
No, I'm like, what's in my set list? I don't even know. I'm always very, very proud of the song that I wrote about my dad, like with my dad. I wrote that with Melissa Ferret too. And we wrote it like right after we moved to Nashville. Mm-hmm. It's just about my dad helping me move and like, you know, not wanting to say goodbye essentially. That one always like really connects with the audience in a cool way. I want to put that song out, but that's one. What else? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, I can't even think of my own songs.
It's hard self-evaluating.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so cool being songwriters that we are, is we get to play and we get an immediacy that if an audience reacts to it, we know that we've made a connection. Mm-hmm. And it's hard doing that kind of a thing with, shall we say, traditional songwriting. It's a little easier for me when I do my funny songs, because if I set up a joke and a punchline and they laugh,
then you're ready. It's
immediate. Yeah. I know when the reaction is supposed to come.
Yeah.
But if you deliver a hook of a regular song, you could really sing it 2 or 3 times before an audience kind of gets it. Mm-hmm. And it's hard
waiting for that reaction or not getting it at all. Or
it's hard to do something that you believe in and then an audience doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Doesn't get it. And I mean, I've had that same reaction with funny songs, but
do you feel like it's also hard when you've got your handful of like front runner songs that you do all the time and they're like, you're almost too close to them mm-hmm. and you don't even know if they're good anymore?
Yeah.
Or were good at all?
Yep. Like I played the Don't Invite Me to Your Wedding song.
Yeah.
I play that every time I perform in Nashville. It lands every time I perform it here.
Yep.
And I played it up in Columbia, Missouri, my hometown. Didn't land. Nobody liked it. And I'm sitting there like, that's one of my best songs.
Yeah.
Like, everyone, everywhere else I've played it has laughed.
It's so interesting, especially when you play like your home state or whatever, and it doesn't resonate in the same way.
Like the friend of mine that came to watch that show, he texted me. I was doing a round with another one of my friends in that bar in Columbia. So I played that song, and then while the other girl was playing, my friend texted me, and I had my phone on the little clip in mm-hmm. front of the mic, and he just sent me that grimacing emoji, and then he did the whole like, maybe bring it down a notch hand motion. And I was like, Jesus, you don't like that?
Yeah.
Like, I'm playing the place was literally called Dive Bar.
That's the name of it?
That's the name of the bar.
Wow.
It's called Dive Bar. It's like, man, if
they were really creative that day.
Yeah. It was like, if a band or if a place called Dive Bar is not into my goofy, dumb jokes, like, man, I don't know what is. So with songwriting being a gosh, a forefront of your life now. What's life like for you outside of the arts? You just got married not too long ago, right?
Yeah. I've been married since June. So, and my husband just moved to Nashville full time. So
maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, we're finally like together in the same house.
Because you'd been separate, like with
we've been long distance
for like 2 years, right?
Yeah,
that's insane.
Well, it's been even longer than that. I think it was like 3 years. But yeah. I don't. It's not for the faint of heart. I'll say that. But it's been cool, and it's like we're kind of just. I don't know. I'm newly married. It's like a whole different world.
Does that make you feel like you're a little bit of a grown up? You're like, oh crap, like I'm married.
It makes me feel like a grown up, and also makes me feel like I am a kid and I know nothing at all. Some days I'm like, God, I feel like I've been married for 60 years. I'm sure he feels the same way. But some days, yeah, it's cool. It's really been like a fun adventure because he's not really familiar with Nashville as much as I am. Mm-hmm. And like
not a musician or a
he's not a musician
at all.
And so I love that about him because we're very different in that way, and it's nice. He balances me out.
You're both from Montana, correct?
Kind of. He's from South Africa, but we met.
Very not.
Yeah, very
not U.S.
We met in Montana, though.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then we were dating, and I moved to Nashville. And
so you grew up in Montana then? Mm-hmm. What part?
Western. Tiny town called Stevensville.
Okay. Yeah. I've never been up there, so I don't know anything about Montana.
We're going. I'm going to take you.
Is it anything like the Yellowstone TV show?
You don't want me to talk about
Who would have guessed? I think I saw you post on Instagram or Facebook about this big winter storm that we had back around Christmas. And it was like, if all of you guys who love Yellowstone are complaining about how cold it is right here, you do not actually want to live in Montana.
No, and I think that because this winter in particular, Montana has had like a hell of a winter with like, it was colder than Antarctica at one point. But anyway, yeah, I think that a lot of people that moved to Montana just from watching the show are probably now moving out, hopefully, because it's just been an influx.
What was it like growing up in a place where music wasn't the whole world?
We're
spoiled here in Nashville.
Yeah, incredibly spoiled. Slowly but surely, I think over the last 10, 15 years, the Montana music scene is slowly becoming more of a thing. But like, it was cool in my earlier 20s. There's only like a handful of songwriters, and we're all spread all over the state. And so songwriter festivals would like bring us together, and
it's cool.
And you get to know everybody. And that's what's cool too. Like I made some of my closest friends because there's not many of us. And so, but yeah, you're like kind of starved. You're kind of starved for that kind of connection that we are so lucky to have here all the time on a daily basis.
We do get spoiled here.
We're just in a town of empaths.
Right.
And you don't have that on the daily. But
I came to appreciate it more here. I'll correct to say I still come to appreciate it more every time I leave town, because I try to go see music anywhere that I go.
Yeah.
I want to be involved, know kind of what's going on out of our bubble. And it really makes me appreciate seeing music here more, because we kind of get glassy-eyed over seeing, oh, there's another songwriter around.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's another band playing another show. Almost everyone here is talented.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes going to Northwest Arkansas and seeing a band play, and you're like, oh, you are an Arkansas band.
Yeah.
And these people who are just vibing with it, they love it because they don't
know any different.
They don't know.
Yeah.
And that's why people from all over the country and all over the world come to Nashville, is because everyone here is just so dang talented.
It's true. We're like spoiled as hell. Quickly spoiled as hell.
We have it good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy that
me and the Montana girls were playing in Pigeon Forge at that listening room just last weekend, and we went to this little local bar that we found called the Gnome or something.
Wow.
And there was this like Irish rock band kind of thing setting up, and we were sitting there thinking with our pretentious Nashville selves, we were like, yeah, let's see what this shit is. And they were bad fucking ass. Like,
nice.
You know, it's nice to know that
good shit exists.
There's
outside
good
of
shit
here.
everywhere else. We're not just pretentious Nashville people that think that we're everything.
So let's talk about the Montana girls.
Yeah.
You are a founding member of the Montana Mess.
I am one of the founding fathers.
Can you tell us what the Montana Mess is?
We are a bunch of misfits. We started from playing a 90s country show, and we were just hanging out doing cover songs. And then it became more and more popular, and we decided that we wanted to work on our harmonies. We were all writing together anyway. And so
who's in the core group?
Right now we've got me, Melissa Ferret, Jara Ward, and Sky Hillman. And we've been busy. Like, we've been putting some work in lately to really focus on it as a project and like learning harmonies.
It's cool getting to see the growth of it, because I remember seeing you all get billed separately on posters, and now I'm seeing you build as the Mess, the Montana Mess.
It's been cool over the last year, just because we basically started last February, so it's almost been a whole year.
You're like a band that's not a band,
right? But we're trying to focus now on like, no, we're a band, and you know, we've gotten more invites to do things as a group than a lot of us separately. And there's, you know, that's kind of a double-edged thing, but why the hell not? You know, I'm not offended that it wasn't me personally. Like, I get to sing songs with my friends.
Because you're part of this thing that's bigger than yourself now.
Yeah. And
it wouldn't be the same without you.
Right. So it's a cool thing. We're learning a lot. And it's, you know, we're learning like business side of things. We're trying to create a brand. All the little stuff that you've already been through with Tour Stop.
Yeah, it's the growing pains of trying to start something.
But I like
5 years down the road, it'll be great.
It's been really fun, and we have a lot of fun talking through that stuff. It's exciting, and like
it's fun because
it's
like co-writing, but for a business.
Yeah.
You're like, what colors are we going to use? What fonts are we using?
The DreamWorks stage. And, you know, that'll be part of our documentary too. Yeah. I'm excited to see what we do, you know, with it in the future. I don't know.
It's cool. It's a cool thing. And that's one of the reasons why I love Nashville, is that collaboration is such an integral part of our community. It's so much about what can we do together and less of what can I do by myself.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I think Nashville specifically excels in, because there's so many creative hubs in the world. And the United States got New York, LA, Chicago, Austin. There's a bunch of these places, but people come to Nashville specifically to collaborate and to write songs with other people. And sure, of course, co-writing exists elsewhere and collaboration exists elsewhere, but
it's not the same caliber.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The volume with which it happens in Nashville is incredible.
That's what was really tough. That's also like hugely why I wanted to be here and leave Montana, is because that pool is so much smaller.
So much smaller.
I mean, I'm sure you don't just find songwriters in Missouri every day.
There was like 7 of us.
Yeah, same. Montana is probably like 10. So I'm just kidding.
There really was not that much happened. There was 7 of us. One guy played a guitar that had 3 strings. That was what we had to deal with.
It's hard to get strings in Missouri.
Yeah, and it kind of made me feel bad when I was younger, because I really had it in my head. I was like, I am the best songwriter here.
Yeah.
And like, who am I to say I am the best songwriter here? But then it's people like us that think that, like, okay, I have to go somewhere where
You get knocked down.
You get knocked down
as much as you can.
And then you build it back up.
Right.
And then you become the best at whatever it is that you do. And that's something that I think is great about living here, is even though it's hard seeing these incredible guitar players, these incredible songwriters, but it makes you want to be better.
It does.
And if you don't see people that want to make you better, you might not get better.
I think too, like in that same vein, it's hard to find, again, I've said this about you, like you champion people. You're really good at it. It's hard to find friends or peers or whatever you want to call them that give you that space to like
to grow
and support you at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this town is especially tough on your soul as far as like feeling supported sometimes.
Right.
You don't need to hear compliments from the audience. You need to hear compliments from your friends.
I think that that's a great point. Hearing that your friend likes your song.
Yeah.
Makes you feel so good.
It's so much better than hearing it from a stranger, really. Yep. Yeah.
Because your friend might know your previous work.
Yeah.
Your friend might know that you've been really trying to improve. And when your friends say something like that, it really sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's that childhood trauma we all got, you know? Yeah.
Annalisa, tell us where we can find you on the internet. Tell us where we can find the stuff that you do.
Well, you can follow me personally at Songsmithy on Instagram.
The Songsmithy.
And there's a lot of dumb stuff that I do on there. I got Truck Rants Only. I got, the Nashville Weather Report, all kinds of dumb stuff. And then you can follow Montana Mess as well.
Follow the Mess.
Yeah,
come
follow
see
the
them.
Mess.
Come see them live. Watch Annalisa live. Come grab a beer from her at the local sometime. Yeah. She's there from time to time.
We have a bunch of Montana Mess shows coming up, doing 90s country brunch again.
Sweet.
Soon.
That'll be dope.
Yeah.
That will be, I know where I'll go.
I mean, it's at Live Oak on Sundays throughout the summer. So,
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Well, Annalisa, thank you for being here. I would like to ask you one more question before we close out. Can you give the listeners of this week's pod a short elevator pitch description of your sound, your music? What would you like to leave people with on what they might hear at your shows?
Wow. Okay. Short pitch. What I would like to be when I grow up, what I would like to sound like is if Elle King and Maren Morris and Eric Church and Loretta Lynn and Lana Del Rey had a baby.
That's a good mix of modern and classic.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say, like, it's hard to define yourself, but I'm just, whatever happens, happens.
There you go. Whatever happens,
I sound like
happens.
the color black.
Well, Annalisa, thank you for joining us this week on the podcast. Please do subscribe to our podcast here. Remember to rate 5 stars, or if you hate it, give us a 1 star.
Hey.
People love to see that shit too. But give us a rating, leave us a review, share us with your friends. We do have the podcast Patreon available now if you'd like to support the NTS pod, help us get into another studio instead of, and maybe I should do a hashtag get me out of my living room.
Also, yeah.
Let's do that.
Even though it's cozy in here, but like we need an office again. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't want to eventually have to have like really big deal interviews with like, oh, Maren Morris wants to be on the podcast. Yeah. Welcome to my home.
Yep.
Yeah.
But she'd be fine.
Yep. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
We could talk about Belcourt.
Right. Right.
But please do support the pod if you feel so inclined. Follow us on social media at Nashville Tour Stop and find us at NashvilleTourStop.com on the web. We've got our whole live event calendar there. You can keep up with the places we're playing, songs we're singing, and drinks we're slinging. Woo! So until the next time, please remember that all roads lead right here to the Nashville Tour Stop.